Yo, 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 we're back. The Unprofessional Breakdown is back after a long period of time. I was training, but you guys know the story. But how better to kickstart the Unprofessional Breakdown again with my man, Rich Grindle. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you, Lou?
I'm doing good. Rich Grindle, you are the second. This is the second time you come on this show, and I appreciate that, man. I always love talking to you. If y'all don't know, he's one of the striking coaches at Glory Martial Arts in Orlando. But this is a special unprofessional breakdown because we got some good stuff coming for you. So, right to it, man. IKF, PKB,
Mhm.
semi-contact Muay Thai and kickboxing.
Yep.
Whoa, how did that materialize? Like, how did that come about? Was that something in the works? Like you've been working on for a little bit now, or what?
So I know last time I was on the show, we talked about my experience over on the West Coast a little bit at Vegas and Syndicate.
Yeah.
While I was over there, I actually got to see a lot of Point Muay Thai. The IKF Point Muay Thai started in California about like 10 years ago. And then we used it for a lot of our fighters to develop into Muay Thai or into MMA. And it worked great. And then you could see in California the big difference in Muay Thai over there. Like I think it's kind of well known that California's got like the best Muay Thai when it comes to
Yeah.
like professional and amateur Muay Thai. So, you know, after seeing it there, I was like, why doesn't Florida have that?
Okay.
We if you look at like a basic build up into training, it's usually like shadow box, bag work, pad work, partner drills, sparring, and then we go straight into a fight. So like the PKBs is that kind of connector between sparring your teammates and then like sparring strangers, and then you
Okay.
fight. So like again, over in the West Coast, I saw that, and I was like, man, that would be really beneficial to a lot of people who want to compete or think they want to compete, you know? And, of course, for kids and teens, I think it's probably the best outlet for striking and training. So once I saw it over there, I came back to Florida. I got reminded of it at the IKF World Classic. And I was like, why don't I run it since no one's doing it?
Yeah.
I might as well be the one that brings it here. So
That's that's pretty awesome, man. So now here we are. Now we're in full blast. The Instagram account is up. Everything's full blast. So let's talk about, since you said teen. So what's the age group?
So we do several divisions. They have a junior division, which is
Okay.
young as 7 years old, and it goes up to 17. So then 18 and above, you're going to go into the adult division. And then we even have a senior division. So it's 40 years old and up.
Wow. And what are the rounds? So what's the rounds? What's the times?
So for the adults, they typically do two-minute rounds, and then you're looking at a potential third round if it's very like controlled. Both guys look like they know what they're doing, or if one guy just dominated both rounds, that'll be pretty much the match. Um, if the divisions are big enough, they'll do like tournament brackets.
Okay.
So if you've got four people in your division, two guys will compete against one another. Then they'll pit the winners against each other, and sometimes they'll pit the losers against each other as well. Again, it's about gaining experience. So that's the main focus, is just learning how to deal with composing yourself in a competitive match.
So, and the rules, like I was looking at what you posted, because you actually opened up questions for people, and you got actually a lot of good replies, a lot of good questions, and you were answering them. And I was reading it. Um, there's no knockouts.
Right. So when people hear point kickboxing and point Muay Thai, they think it's like all body shots, or they think it's kind of like old karate tournaments where it's like you strike once, they'll break the action, you score a point. It's continuous. Basically, the way I look at it, it's competitive sparring. And if you invited me to your gym and we were to spar, and I started knocking guys out, how would everyone react, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that happens in boxing a lot, but yeah, like for, Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA community, it's a little bit different. We're kind of like,
Fights are frowned upon, right?
Yeah.
So the way we look at it, it's competitive sparring. So you're looking to win. I know a lot of times in sparring, you're just experimenting. You're just trying to get, your A game going. But, this is testing that, but you're being judged. You're in front of a crowd. There's that little bit of aspect of a show. So the intensity is pretty high, but the refs and the judges are making sure no one's going too hard. We can tell the difference when someone's scoring and then when someone's trying to knock someone out, when they're, putting all their weight into it, they're timing them perfectly, into a big strike. So, there's a lot of control aspect. So again, some of the big differences, like I pointed out in those questions, if you want to get into that.
Yeah, go ahead, man. The floor is yours, man. You're one of my favorite people to talk to, and we have a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'll sort it out. But the floor is yours, man. I want to know as much, and also tell me a date too, because it seems like you have a date intact already. And so, but yeah, the floor is yours, man. Whatever it is, man. Let's get it. Let's get to it. I understand the no knockout thing, and it's a little weird, honestly. A lot of folks don't like that. I think I saw there was a tournament. It was a IKF PKB tournament in Orlando sometime this year, and a guy knocked out the other guy, and then the guy that knocked the guy out lost, and he got disqualified or whatever. So there was like a little bit of rumbles and people crying and complaining, like what people do on the regular.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to this no knockout mentality. And I understand like a lot of fighter gyms are going to be against that, but those gyms are most likely not going to have their guys compete in this. They're going to put them in a fight. Like,
yeah.
Go to combat night or another local event. And, there's students who, love to do that. I mean, that's why they get into it. The PKB is more about, there's some students who don't spar. There's students who spar but don't fight. This might be like that middle ground for those who do like sparring but don't want to fight but still want to be competitive and see how, they can challenge themselves.
Tell me about the difference between, what you're gonna throw, like the IKF, PKB, and then other shows. And I like it. I like the points. It teaches you how to be a point fighter, right? A lot of guys want to go in there, oh, I want to knock them out, but also the smart ones, the ones that have longevity in the fight game, are the ones that are going in there, being smart, picking up their shots. And even, I mean, the finish is gonna be there, whatever. But I like the idea of this. I like the idea of this tournament. So, tell me the differences of that.
So yeah, some of the major differences, obviously the no knockout. So anytime someone's getting like overly aggressive or they look like they're really trying to finish the guy, it's broken up immediately. They get either warned or maybe the match just gets called. So that's a huge difference. So again, if you're not looking to have that experience, go take a regular fight. This is not a regular fight. The other major difference is, we don't use a ring and we don't use a cage. So
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's kind of to take out that barrier where a lot of guys get finished. If you're tired or you're hurt and you back up into the ropes or the cage, that's where a lot of guys, take their last couple shots. So, we want to prevent that. So it gives the athlete the ability to leave the ring, and then the ref will break it up. Again, if you think about sparring in your gym, if you're backing up too much, you're running into other groups and stuff.
Yeah, going across the mats, going to the other gym, but I mean to the other side of the gym. But yeah, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah, so we want to, again, ring awareness is going to be huge, but it gives that athlete that go. And again, if they're running away too much, they don't want to fight. We'll call it from there. But usually everyone's pretty good about that. They try to stay in bounds. Again, if they walk out a step or two, the ref just brings it back to the center. Some other differences. You get to use your gear. That's not a big thing for a lot of people, but some people are like more comfortable, like, that first time fighting, and they're like, oh, they're going to give you this gear and it's sweaty from the last few fights. And you put on your headgear and it's, 2 pounds heavier. So you get to wear your own gear. So that's kind of a difference.
So speaking of gear, is there going to be somebody inspecting the gear? Make sure that there's full. Okay.
You take it to the other coaches. You bring your gear to your opponents, and then they bring their gear. Yeah, and you say, do you want these shin guards? No. Here's an extra pair that I brought. please wear these. As long as there's an agreement, we're okay. Yeah.
Because I was about to ask that. Like, what if the coach says, nah, man, I'm not using these shimp. No way. So you're gonna make every gym, whatever, bring like additional, and that way they feel comfortable. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. So headgear's a must.
What's that?
Headgear's a must.
Headgear's a must. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of headgear. We could talk about that all day.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of headgear, but as far as the IKF is concerned, it's still, something to keep fighters safe. So they make that mandatory.
I like that. I'm all for fighter safety. Like, I really am all for fighter safety. So this is an IKF sanctioning event, right? So the fighters will have a record, and this will count towards their record, or
so only towards PKBs. This is what I would call competitive sparring. Also, some people refer to as like pre-amateur. So your amateur record, that's separate. But we do keep track of your amateur record, and we do ask, to be honest about it. We'll find out. We can always find out.
Yeah, you always know. So amateurs that compete at, Combat Night and all these other local, and if they want to enter this tournament with their registration, are they okay to do this as long as they follow the rules? Okay. So I wasn't aware of that. This is a great question,
Yeah, so absolutely. Again, if you're already fighting, you're probably focusing on that. But there are some athletes who especially come from like traditional backgrounds and stuff who really love point style. So, if they want to stay active, I used to do them in between my fights. I didn't get a lot of fights back to back. So on these long layoffs, I used to do them just to test some new stuff out. I've been working these types of combos, this and that. So yeah, amateurs can do it. But the thing is, you're going to be matched up with relative experience. So if you register and you say you have, 4 amateur fights, they're going to look to put you someone who also has amateur fights.
Okay. And so there is a pre-registering, right? Is there a cost for that?
Yeah, so it's $50 before the event, and we do a day of sign up. But we encourage the pre-sign up just to make sure we can create brackets early on the day of the event. I mean, you've been to jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff like. Yeah. Sometimes it can take over an hour to just create brackets. So we want to get that as quick as possible.
So when is the first event that you're gonna be running?
October 16th at American Top Team, Orlando. Okay. The one Paul Rodriguez runs.
So tell me about the matchups. Are there going to be multiple fights going on simultaneously, or is going to be one at a time? Okay, potentially.
I planned it with the intention that if there were a lot of signups, we would have two rings. We don't know, like we still have 5.5 weeks, so we don't know full numbers yet. By the time we get there, we'll have a better idea. There might be 2 matches going at the same time. That's always fun
all depending on how many people sign up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously the spacing for it and all that. I think it's a good idea to run would you call it inaugural? The inaugural, right? Would that be an inaugural tournament for you? It's a good idea. It's a good idea to run it at a gym, and maybe have a few shows in the gyms, right? And then maybe move on to like a hotel, right? Because that's how they did it. That's how there was there was an event earlier this year, and it was I think it was at Europa or across the street from the Orange Convention Center.
It's the IKF World Classic, and then they always have PKB going on at the same time.
Yeah, man. So people that want to reach out, there's an Instagram. What's the Instagram page?
It's Orlando_PKB_PMT.
And if they can't find that, which I'll put it across the screen like I do if you guys watch the show or not, where can they find you? What's your Instagram, Rich?
My Instagram is @Coach Grindle.
So you'll be running the event, but again, it's gonna be sanctioned by IKF, right? So they're gonna bring in their judges, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be working with a group of judges that I'm putting together. Some guys are going to be familiar around the scene. I've been working with Mitchell the last couple of days. about using some of his guys when they're not, working combat night and stuff. So there's going to be definitely that same camaraderie you're going to see at like combat night shows and such around the local scene. But we're training our own judges, we're training our own refs.
Awesome. And it's gonna be point based. Explain to me, because I love that. So I love discussing with you. I always message you privately. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? What do you think of this? Explain to me how the point system is gonna work for the IKF PKB.
I will do my best, and
Okay. Yeah.
bear with me.
No, you good.
So again, it's going to be very tough for the judges to be 100%, right?
Yeah.
That's with any fight. But we do have a point system that's pretty accurate. I'm going to use the point Muay Thai system because it's pretty simple. So basically, we want to encourage kicks to the legs, body, and head. Punches will score to the body higher than we'll score to the head, because we want to discourage a lot of guys just trying to head hunt and haymaker. So
that's perfect, by the way. I love body shots, so that's perfect.
I mean, as a coach, I'm always praising head, body, head, mix it up, head, body, legs. That's how you get the finish, if we were to be honest.
Yep.
If you just keep attacking the same target, they just defend that target.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we encourage the body shots, we encourage the low kicks. So basically a kick or a body shot is going to be 2 points. In a judge's mind, they have to keep track of how many 2-point scores you're making. A punch to the head will be 1 point. So we're not, discouraging entirely. We're just saying, don't waste your time scoring 1 points when you can be scoring multiple 2s. When you defend a strike, it doesn't count, obviously. So if I check a kick, I neutralize that score.
Okay.
Yeah, I found a good video from the California IKF that I will be posting on my Instagram and Facebook soon.
Perfect.
And they kind of have like a really good match. Some of their advanced guys doing the tournament, and they kind of explain at the top, how they're scoring. They use a little imagery and stuff like that. But I'll be sharing that soon.
I dig it. I love the concept. It makes sense, and I like that. And I like the fact that you said, hey, there's guys that want to be fighters, that want to continue, right? They want to grow. This is a perfect opportunity for them. They could do this. They could do a tournament, do like 4 or 5, and then say, hey, you know what? I think I'm ready for combat night, right? Plug in combat night like I always do. Or I'm for these other shows. But it'll teach them, right? How great would it be if you get a guy that starts off IKF, PKB, and just like does very, very well, and then goes over to combat night, and then he's starting to finish people because of he's a disciplined fighter. And then from combat night, he goes to like a bigger show. Like that's great, So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and again, I know we talked a lot about like, amateurs or adults, but like, yeah, we definitely encourage the kids. I've been to some events where, I feel like the ref is kind of like waiting for the finish with some of the kids' fights. Yeah. And that doesn't need to happen. Like, we know when one kid's winning and one kid's losing, like that's fine. My big thing too is like, I want everyone to participate in martial arts. So like I've had the experience, I'm sure people who've done this. They're great training partners, they're great students, they're doing good in the gym, they get encouraged to take a fight for whatever reason, too much pressure, they kind of buckle under the pressure, and they never return to training. They never come back.
Yeah. And I've seen that a lot, man, and it's very unfortunate. They get discouraged, man, depending on the results of the fight,
And I think for coaches, we all know like fighting is not for everyone. And some guys are really good at training. Some guys are really good at sparring. But for whatever reason, when they get in that ring, there's a disconnect. And we can find that out through like a PKB or a Point Muay Thai tournament before they actually freeze in the ring and get head kicked or whatever.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's I like that. I like that a lot. Again, I'm all for fighter safety, and I think it's
Sorry, as a coach, you can use this a lot of different ways. I've had, again, in my experience in Vegas, I've had students who were injured, amateur fighters. One of them is actually on the Contender Series. He's actually making his UFC debut soon, and he came out of an injury. Yeah, he came out of an injury and was like, "Man, I got this fight for LFA coming up. This would be fun to kind of like sharpen my skills." Yeah, like you're allowed to do it. we let his opponents know, like, this is a pro who fights in LFA. You know, are you cool with that? Oh, yeah. He's very controlled, right? Great matchups.
Wow.
Really good matchups. He gave him really good sparring rounds. And, you know, it helped him build that confidence to come back from his injury. And then went on to win his LFA fight, 2 more. Then he's on the Contender Series. Now he's in the UFC. Shout out Natan Levy.
And you know what? That's awesome. That's because as a professional, like, so you're saying professionals could come in and enter this? Is that what you're potentially saying?
Yeah, I told Mitchell, like, I'll get a match with Mitchell. I love sparring Mitchell.
I don't love sparring Mitchell. But then again, your striking level is like this guy Mitchell is just on a your striking level is amazing. And but Mitchell's amazing and he's so freaking crafty. I remember I was training and Pete White's like he's telling us like, yeah, you know, you guys got to be more like Mitchell. And I look at him like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to be like Mitchell. One, I'm shorter than he is and he's very, very crafty, but what he meant was Mitchell has a way of throwing strikes from weird angles and just throwing something and it'll catch you off guard. So I don't want him to hear this because his head's gonna get bigger. But we were emulating Mitchell in our sparring sessions, you know. And I tell guys to look at your stuff too.
Because I
don't post a lot. I mean, I post myself hitting the bag every once in a while, but
yeah, but the stuff that you post, the little glimpse that you give us, I always send it to my homie. Like, yo, this guy is amazing. Like, I'm telling you, like, he's one of the best striking coaches in Central Florida. So, yeah, man. But no doubt, brother. Hey, thanks for chatting with me again and wanting to chat with me again. When is the event again?
It's October 16th at American Top Team Orlando.
There you go. And I'll put the flyer across the screen right here. And on the flyer, it says no knockouts. It says no knockouts on the flyer, semi contact. I like it, Rich, man. I think
if anyone's interested in registering, go to akpromotions.org and they'll walk you through the registration process.
I like it, and no, there couldn't be another person ready to run this more qualified than you are. So this is great. This is great, man. And again, Rich Grindle, thank you very much, brother. You have a good night. Peace out, y'all.
Take care.